Our last island to explore is Milos. Our ferry finally docks at Adamatus after a couple of stops at other islands. From Adamatus, our taxi takes us deep into the island over some pretty rough roads with no directional signs. Just as we are beginning to wonder, we reach our destination, Milos Cove. The staff takes our bags and directs us to a door marked Reception. We open the door to a pitch black room. This is the only thing we see. This is really going to be a different experience. Our eyes adjust to the darkness and we see a corner. We go around it and there, brightly lit, are smiling staff at the reception desk. We check in and are directed to our room. It's furnished with steel and rock. The bedroom is up the steel stairs to the loft. This is our home for just 2 nights. Our room has a patio and plunge pool with a view of the cliffs and the Aegean. Dishes at the restaurant are inspired by traditional flavors of the Cyclades. This carpaccio of heirloom tomatoes is dressed with caperberries and feta. I tried the catch of the day with seaweed crisps. Sherry liked the pasta stuffed with wild mushrooms. In the morning, we meet our guide Giannis, and we start the geology tour at the mining museum in Adamatus. This complicated map of Milos attempts to describe the island's complex geology. Volcanic activity began 2 to 3 million years ago and last erupted 90,000 years ago. The harbor is actually the hollow of the principal crater. Milos was a major source of obsidian during the Neolithic age. Milos was the most abundant source of sulfur in the ancient world. In the not too distant past, minerals were extracted with picks and shovels and hauled out with donkeys. It was hard, dangerous work. Today, mining uses large machines for extraction and hauling. One of the most important minerals today is bentonite. It's produced when volcanic ash weathers in seawater. It's used in cat litter, among many other applications. Perlite is derived naturally from volcanic rock. It's lightweight, inert, and fireproof, making it useful for uses from cosmetics to construction. Kaolin has been used for centuries as the principal ingredient in porcelain. Today it's used in many industries from paper to pharmaceuticals. Barite is a main source of the element barium. It's mostly used in drilling mud, but is also used in paint and plastics. On the road again, we stop at this salt pan for some pictures. Giannis describes the reality of mineral extraction on Milos. When a product becomes too expensive to produce, the facility will be left to rust. This salt pan was operational until 1990, when market conditions caused it to be abandoned. Giannis is taking us to Kalamas to prove that Milos is just a dormant volcano. It can erupt at any time. We're in the caldera of the Sagrado volcano. It's about 1 mile across. You can see the layers of volcanic ash that have built up over the centuries. There are many fumaroles that send out sulfurous compounds. Pure sulfur crystals form when the gas condenses. The fumaroles come in all sizes and levels of activity. A few plants like this conehead thyme have adapted to its warm, smelly environment. Giannis shows us an old sulfur mine. The sulfur crystals form feathery clusters on the tunnel's walls. From the rim of the caldera, we get a panoramic view of the rough coastline of Milos. This is a Giri Kyriaki, Beach, one of the best in Milos. Our next stop is the Paleorima sulfur mine and processing plant. The site consists of a valley running down to the ocean. Sulfur mines line the upper valley. The processing plant climbs the hill at the mouth of the valley. Opposite the processing plant are shops and administrative buildings. Operations began here in 1862 and ceased in 1958. The company went bankrupt as a result of a dramatic drop in sulfur prices. It had become much cheaper to extract sulfur from oil than to mine it. The processing plant was built as part of a modernization process that started in the 1930s. Most of the heavy equipment remains in place in the ruins. The workers, having not been paid for several months, just walked away. The company had no way to salvage any equipment from the plant or the shops. Back in the day, ore from the mines up the valley would come down to the processing plant in these rail cars. Then the ore would be moved via funicular to the top of the plant. A series of mechanical and chemical processes would yield an almost pure sulfur at the bottom. The finished product would go across the bridge to a dock to be loaded into waiting ships. Today, all we see are deteriorating and dangerous ruins and a really nice beach. Now for something completely different, Sarakiniko Beach. Waves driven by north winds shape the grayish-white volcanic rock into amazing shapes. This unique landscape makes Sarakiniko one of the most photographed places in the Aegean. It's easy to see why some people liken this to a lunar landscape. Our cameras can't seem to get enough of these strange, otherworldly shapes. Another thing about this place that's peculiar: vegetation is almost non-existent. Yanni says it's time to go. We have one more stop to squeeze in on the way back to Milos Cove. This is the largest bentonite mine in Europe and one of the largest in the world. 1 million tons of bentonite are mined here every year. Bentonite has been mined on Milos since 1952. This mine started operations in 1985. It's now a very deep mine, reaching down almost to sea level. Back at Milos Cove, we sit out on the terrace and enjoy some liquid refreshment. We try to take it all in. Tomorrow we start our long trip home. We didn't get a chance to try out the pool. I guess we'll just have to come back. Very early in the morning, we were at Milos Airport for our flight to Athens. This has been a great trip. Now that we've sampled some of the great things that the Cyclades has to offer, we'll have to come back and spend some more time.